Akhtar Mishra. At this edition, we are going to get you the latest that is happening in the Pune Porsche murder case. But first up are the headlines at the top of this hour.
हम सब 2 मिनट का मौन रखते हैं।
Om Birla invokes dark period of emergency. Opposition raises slogans and walks out of the assembly.
We passed the resolution in the House that such trumpulation of such demolition of the Constitution will not be allowed again. So we have taken a resolution.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi lauds Om Birla for making emergency remark in Lok Sabha. BJP stages protest against the Congress.
इस माइनर एक्यूज की रिहाई होनी है और आज भी जो ये वीआईपी ट्रीटमेंट वाला मामला है वो कोई कम होने का नाम नहीं ले रहा है।
After VVIP brat walks out free, Republic reveals how the brat was given a VVIP treatment.
I am not here to be answering specific questions about individuals. I've told you that whoever will be guilty will be booked and is being booked.
Republic TV confronts the Pune Commissioner. Amitesh Kumar evades the direct question, says he has nothing to say. All right, we start with breaking news coming in right now, viewers. The court order is out, and it's a 3-day remand for Arvind Kejriwal. The CBI gets 3-day custody of Arvind Kejriwal. Setback after setback for the Delhi Chief Minister and the Aam Aadmi Party Supremo. That is the big breaking news that we are getting to you right now. Delhi court has remanded Delhi Chief Minister Arvind Kejriwal to CBI remand for 3 days. CBI had sought a 5-day custody for interrogation into the Liquorgate policy case. But what we know now is that it's a 3-day CBI custody. That is the big breaking news we are getting to you right now. So Arvind Kejriwal arrested last night by the CBI, and now the CBI has got a 3-day CBI custody. So that is the big update we're getting in the Liquorgate investigation. Rouse Avenue Court pronouncing the order. It had reserved the order this afternoon, late afternoon, and now it's a 3-day CBI custody for Arvind Kejriwal. Remember, the Congress party has also said that a chief minister cannot run a government sitting inside a jail, but he remains in custody now. We do not know what happens politically later on, but this investigation is right now picking up pace. And my colleague Riyanka, in fact, is joining us live from outside the Rouse Avenue Court. The order is out. Riyanka, it's a setback for Arvind Kejriwal, 3-day CBI custody.
Absolutely, that is in fact the breaking development coming in on Republic, that Arvind Kejriwal is going to face more trouble because it's the CBI who has been given 3 days remand by the Rouse Avenue Court. Remember, the CBI had initially asked for 5 days remand, but the court has given the CBI just 3 days to interrogate Arvind Kejriwal. That's right, 3 days Kejriwal will be in the CBI custody in connection to the Liquorgate case. We know that it is just setback after setback for Kejriwal because the CBI had in fact given out strong claims today in front of the court, in fact with evidences that it had shown to the court in accordance to the 44 crore money trail that it has now been able to find out. Also also saying that Kejriwal is not able to accept that Vijay Nair was working for him, rather putting the onus on Manish Sisodia, Atishi Singh and Saurabh Bhardwaj. So on these lines, on these grounds, the CBI is in fact going to build a strong case against Arvind Kejriwal. We already know that the ED heat on Kejriwal has been mounting. On top of that, it is a double trouble for Kejriwal again, because now the CBI has built its crackdown on Arvind Kejriwal. He will now be produced in front of the court on the 29th of June before 7 p.m. and special provisions have been made for him, as he will be in the CBI custody in terms of his diet, food and medicines. So we have to see what happens during the next hearing. But for
absolutely,
now,
of course, in the 3 days, of course, we expect the hearing to take place. But thank you so much for the moment, Riango, joining us with those updates coming in. But right now, viewers, we shift our focus back to the Pune Porsche murder case. Now, remember, the killer brat, the VVIP killer, has been released by the Bombay High Court. And of course, there is more anger, there is more public outrage, and the victims' families are still waiting for justice. Now, viewers, before we begin and throw this up for discussion and more inputs, let us just see what the Bombay High Court has observed. There's no case diary produced. This is what the Bombay High Court has observed. No case diary has been obtained. A false social background submitted. These are the loopholes. Now, prosecution was absent during the hearing. That is what the court has said. Also, there is further, more observations made. Bail decided without hearing the prosecution. The real facts not disclosed. This is what is now coming to light. Prima facie, police misguided the board, the juvenile board. Bail on conditions of betterment. And prosecution did not challenge the bail also. And the bail was not cancelled, but it remains in force. That is what the High Court has clarified, that he is not on bail. But remember, he is out. He is not in jail anymore. And prosecution has conceded that the bail is intact. But right now, viewers, we will get you a short report to know what has been happening up until now, and Republic TV, how it has been leading the coverage and asking the most pertinent questions. Take a look. Shocking details have come to light even after the release of the VVIP killer in a Pune Porsche murder case. These visuals are from outside the remand home in Pune, where the juvenile was locked up. The media was misled in a bid to cordon off the area ahead of the killer's release.
यहाँ पर लोगों ने जेजेबी के जो लोग हैं, उन्होंने पहले मीडिया से ये कहा कि ये जो रिहाई है इस बंदे की, ये कल होने वाली है। वकीलों ने भी कल का कहा। मीडिया को एक तरह से गुमराह किया गया, लेकिन हमारे स्मार्ट पत्रकार, आप सब देख सकते हैं, जो कैमरामैन और पत्रकार यहाँ पे खड़े हैं, कोई भी गया नहीं। और अब जेजेबी ने इस दरवाजे को लॉक कर लिया है, जिससे कि मीडिया अंदर नहीं आ सके।
Watch how a luxury car drives away the super brat killer to his freedom. Just like the luxury car with which he mowed down Anish and Ashwini.
Mr. Dhanawade, could you respond to the question? आपने bail legally Sir, we haven't got any evidence against Vijay.
I told you I am not here to be answering specific questions about individuals. I've told you that whoever will be guilty will be booked and is being booked.
Meanwhile, the state continues to pay lip service.
मैं उनके माता पिता मेरे पास आए थे, उनको मुख्यमंत्री सहायता निधि से 10-10 लाख रुपए का चेक मैंने आज दिया हुआ है। हम लोग पूरी तरह उनके परिवार के साथ है और कोई भी गुनाहगार आरोपी उसमें से उसको बख्शा नहीं जाएगा। ये केस फास्ट ट्रैक पे चलाई जाएगी।
आज की मैंने न्यूज़ देखा वो तो देखकर तो मुझे शॉक लगा कि क्या हो गया करके, लेकिन मुझे पूरा विश्वास है अपनी न्याय व्यवस्था में। उनने भी कुछ सोच के मतलब ये फैसला किया होगा। और आगे बस मेरी एक रिक्वेस्ट है न्याय महोदय से कि एक माँ का दर्द समझे। मैंने अपने एक बेटी को खोया है।
Will power and politics take precedence over the life of innocent citizens?
और ये इस गाड़ी में माइनर मार्क्स के साथ बीच में सेंटर में बैठा
And we'll try and ask more questions and discuss about what's been happening and when will the justice be delivered. I have with me a special guest from Punekar News, the editor of Punekar News, Tikam Shekhawat. Thank you so much for joining us here, Mr. Shekhawat. And, you've been getting us the report on how even the media had been blocked from, today from covering this story. And, I would just want to quote the division board, how they in fact went on to quote Martin Luther King saying that, injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. But the question is, the victim's family are still fighting for justice. This killer brat walks free. The High Court say there is no bail. We have not given any bail. But the fact remains that there are no questions that are being answered. People like, the NCP MLA still, Tingray still has not been questioned. The top cop has no answers. But this killer brat, he runs over law.
Yeah, absolutely. As you rightly said, the court has observed that injustice anywhere is threat to justice everywhere. So we appreciate this comment, but at the same time, if you see the point number 2 in the detailed judgment, which is of 34 pages, it talks about the FIR 306, which is registered under 304A of IPC. Why court has not taken cognizance of 304? I fail to understand. Point number 2, court order, 34 pages order. I'm very much aware that Pune Police has registered the case, though the amendment was done later, but they have registered the case under 304A, culpable homicide. This is absolutely not mentioned in the court order. On third page also, court talks about that this is a case of rash and negligent act, and the offence prima facie falling under the category of rash, reckless, and negligent driving of 304A. In my view, if court could have considered the case under section 304, I think things would have been different.
Right, Tikam. Of course, as we've been tracking this entire matter, and Republic TV has been at the forefront of getting to this investigation, so has been Punekar News also. Just help us understand what has happened up until now, because there have been a lot of lacunas in this entire case. There's so many loopholes, and we still see that the parents are fighting for justice. They've spoken to Republic TV also. They are so disappointed with the kind of investigation that has been conducted by the Pune police. We see Eknath Shinde, the Chief Minister, also assuring that, justice will be delivered, that there will be no tolerance. But the fact remains that someone who is powerful, someone who is well connected, his entire family's links have also been uncovered with the mafia also. But till now, we see that this kind of treatment that has been given by the police is absolutely shocking. There's a VVIP treatment angle also that is now coming to the fore.
Absolutely. It's a case wherein after 35 days, this minor accused has been released. But the bigger question, in my view, is everybody is talking about the gaps of JJB Act. Because if you go with JJB Act, even if if some offense is registered under section 302, there is a possibility that the JJB member or the concerned judge can release the person on very first day in case if certain conditions are not met, like whether the person, once he go outside, is there a live threat to him, or a couple of other sections. But point is, at High Court level, if there is a gap in the Act, it's an opportunity to improve this, because ultimately JJB Act is not about the society. It is not about the social justice. In this case, right from a common citizen, common man of India, to Chief Minister of Maharashtra, Eknath Shinde, to Pune Police Commissioner, to Republic TV, everybody at national level is talking about justice. But unfortunately, in my view, the court has observed anything and everything within the purview of JJB Act. I think order has been passed, but justice is not given as of now to the victim's family.
It actually, brings back to that focus that we've been actually talking about, the system, how the system is designed. With this coverage, with our unrelenting coverage, we've been trying to raise those questions that still, remain unanswered, Tikam. That anyone who is powerful, anyone who is wealthy, money, muscle, power, does it really, outweigh everything else? When somebody, if the court does talk about, how everyone should be treated equally in the realm of law, but the fact that how this police investigation has been going on, Amitesh Kumar still does not have any answers, continues to evade Republic's camera, Republic's mic. But this is the kind of apathy that we see, that despite such, this big high-level coverage, there is still, so many loopholes. There is still laxity on part of the authorities and the investigative agencies that we are seeing right now. The justice is not delivered.
Also, a bigger thing which is still pending from Maharashtra government side, that is, no action has been taken on JJB member as of now. See, you have done an inquiry. I mean, as a government, you have done an inquiry. You found some loopholes. I mean, after inquiry, you came to know that there were gaps in terms of overall conduct of this JJB member. Basis this, government has issued show cause notice. Now this is around 36 days. What are we doing with the show cause notice? Why there is no action? When government will take action? If show cause notice has been issued by Ministry of Child and Women Development, there has to be further action. In police, Yeroda police officials have been suspended. As far as Sassoon Hospital goes, doctors are, one is terminated, one is suspended. What about JJB? Is JJB beyond law of this nation?
Absolutely. In fact, those laws, we at Republic TV have been asking since day one that is it time to even, bring about a change in these laws, which is actually benefiting and helping many of such individuals. As you rightly pointed out, 304A has also been, very easily ignored here, and there are many questions as to why it was, ignored. But right now the question remains that, when do we see that actually some laws are changed? There's some changes that are brought in the law, and it actually, in practical terms, bring in a level playing field for everybody.
I really agree with you. It's an opportunity for government also to amend the JJB Act. Why I'm telling you amend this act? Because if you see nationally, every year there are hundreds of cases wherein somebody within the age bracket of 16 to 18 has done something which can be under 304, 304A or even 302. But in all such cases, if the brat is rich, if you have money, if you have good lawyers and good advocates, you can get a bail on very first day. But this is not the case with the people, the person who is a common man, the kids who come from a common family. They face the trial, they face the strict rules and regulation of our law and enforcement agencies. So point is, since there is a gap, since there is no completeness in terms of overall JJB Act Amendment 2015, it is an opportunity through Republic TV. I would request Government of India that it is an opportunity for us to amend. Please make a committee and see if there is a possibility to amend the overall JJB Act, so that tomorrow, on very first day, somebody should not get the bail if there's an injustice with victim's family.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Tikam Shekhawat, for joining us with those updates and what you are right now trying to find out in this entire investigation. And viewers, that was Republic TV's special report and coverage on the Pune murder case that we continue to, in fact, lead the campaign on. But right now, viewers, we shift our focus back to some other story that we are tracking. It's the Jai Palestine slogan raised by Hyderabad MP AIMIM Chief Asaduddin Owaisi. Yesterday, on day 2 of the parliament session, right after he ended his oath, he raised Jai Palestine slogan. Now that has caused a major uproar, massive uproar, and he continues to remain defiant, viewers. He continues to defend himself and say that there's nothing wrong. And for more on that now, we are being joined by a lawyer and advocate Vishnu Shankar Jain for more on this, because there have been calls for Owaisi's resignation. But forget a resignation. He has not even tendered an apology. Now, Vishnu Shankar Jain, your father Hari Shankar Jain, the advocate Hari Shankar Jain, has written a letter to the President of India, Ms. Draupadi Murmu, on the same, and he has, pointed out that Owaisi has clearly shown his allegiance, his loyalty to a foreign country. Now, how do we see this? Because he remains defiant. He says, I know the Constitution and there's nothing they can do. How do you see this? How do you respond to it?
See, clearly the provision of Article 102, it's very, very clear. If someone will go through a bare reading of Article 102, 1 subclause D, it says that a person will be disqualified to be a member of parliament if he is under acknowledgement or adherence or allegiance to a foreign state. So Mr. Owaisi yesterday, while taking oath in the 18th Lok Sabha, has said Jai Philistine at the end of the oath. We are not challenging Jai Bhim, Jai Meem, or various things which he has said of Quranic verses. We are not challenging it. He has said Allahu Akbar, Takbir. We are not challenging it. What we are challenging it and what we are concerned with is Article 102. If you show your adherence, allegiance to a foreign state. So by saying Jai Philistine, it is completely within the purview of Article 102 and he is disqualified. And in compliance of Article 102, we have moved a petition before the Honorable President of India yesterday itself. And the next course of action will be that after the President has received our application, and I'm sure that in compliance of Article 103, the President of India will take an opinion from the Election Commission of India. The Election Commission of India will hear both the sides, and then ultimately the President will pass a final order, and that order will be final.
You know, you've also mentioned about Mr. Harishankar Jain. In fact, if I could read this prayer that he has in fact written here, he calls the opinion of the Election Commission of India as provided under Article 103. So Article 103 is also quoted as per the Constitution of India, what Owaisi, in fact, claims to be well aware of regarding the disqualification incurred by Owaisi as mentioned in the present complaint. Tell us more about how this can be taken forward to the Election Commission and his disqualification as a lawmaker can actually happen.
See, we are concerned with a very, very limited question. We are concerned with that if someone is showing his adherence or allegiance to a foreign state, what is the procedure? Do you have to go to the Supreme Court or the High Court or the subordinate judiciary? The Constitution itself gives a framework that if a question of disqualification arises of a member of parliament, you have to move a petition, you have to move an application before the President of India. And the moment President of India receives such an application, under Article 103, if this question arises, the President has to take an opinion from the Election Commission of India. Before the Election Commission of India, both the parties will be heard, Mr. Owaisi as well as Mr. Harishankar Jain. Election Commission of India will forward its opinion to the President, and then ultimately the President of India will take a final decision. So it is very, very limited. And let me tell you, and I'm saying it with a lot of sense of responsibility on your channel, we will prove it before the Election Commission of India and the Honorable President that saying Jai Philistine in the Parliament of this country is unconstitutional. And if we do not stop it today, then in the near future, you will see that there will be slogans of Pakistan Zindabad and various anti-national elements will be there. The point is this, that if you say Jai Philistine, Jai Nepal, Jai Bangladesh, or if you are showing your allegiance or adherence, which in Hindi also means apna support, apna samarthan, if you are showing it to any other foreign state, it is unconstitutional. As a member of parliament holding a constitutional post, you are barred from doing such an act. And after taking oath, immediately after taking oath on the floor of the House, right in front of the Speaker, Mr. Owaisi has chanted the slogan Jai Philistine, which is unconstitutional. It shows his inclination towards a foreign state and it disqualifies him from being a member of the parliament.
And also, what we saw, of course, it is something that is completely unacceptable, and there is, public outrage on that. In fact, from across the board, he has drawn criticism, but there was a counter by a Bareilly MP when he said Jai Hindu Rashtra. Now, that, of course, is the way he actually countered, and thereafter we saw Owaisi also saying कि आप देखिए और लोगों ने क्या-क्या बोला. He's now trying to say that, you should also, he's trying to throw it in the public discourse and help in a way, polarize the opinion and the perception over what has happened yesterday.
See, two wrongs don't make it a right, first of all. Point number one. Point number two, the law functions very, very clearly. If Article 102 mandates that if anyone is showing allegiance or adherence to a foreign nation, he is disqualified. So if he feels and if he believes, because he's a barrister himself, if he feels and if he believes that showing adherence to a foreign nation or chanting Jai Hindu Rashtra in the parliament is unconstitutional, very well he is free to raise that issue. He is very well free to challenge it before the Honorable President. And let me tell you, the comment Jai Hindu Rashtra has not been expressed also till date. But the comment which he made was expressed. The point is this, that if someone has opinion so far as reservation is concerned, someone is saying Har Har Mahadev, someone is saying Allahu Akbar, Takbir, all those things we are not concerned. We are talking about a very, very limited scope, and the scope is of Article 102. You are showing your adherence or allegiance to a foreign state. The moment you do it, you are disqualified to be a member of the parliament. That's the mandate of the constitution itself. And the two supreme authorities, the two most supreme authorities and institutions of this country under the constitution, that is the President of India as well as the Election Commission of India, will be participating in this decision making process. And ultimately, I am very, very sure that we will be able to prove to the hilt that saying Jai Philistine is unconstitutional. Let us play a devil's advocate. Suppose the point which I am raising, if the Election Commission of India or the President of India has to reject my application, they have to hold that chanting Jai Philistine is constitutional. There is nothing wrong in it. Can such an order be passed? I ask a question to myself. Can the President of India or the Election Commission of India come to an opinion that saying Jai Philistine, Jai Pakistan, Jai Sri Lanka, Jai Bangladesh, Jai Nepal in the parliament is constitutional, is legal? And what is the word? What is the meaning of the word adherence and allegiance to a foreign state? Whether it will become a dead letter? So I have a very, very strong case, and we have initiated the petition before the President of India, and I'm very, very sure that if the legal process is followed, we will see to it that Mr. Owaisi is disqualified from being a member of the parliament.
All right, that's a lot of confidence, of course, that you've exuded, Mr. Vishnu Shankar Jain. Also, just in the end, before I let you go, how do you really see this entire controversy? It was actually shocking. You know, Mr. Owaisi is known to actually throw up such statements, and he is known for ruffling many of the feathers and also making controversial statements. But this, when he takes oath under the Indian Constitution, and when he's voted by Indians, and he says these words in the Indian Parliament, what do you think he must be thinking? Because you said that he very well knows the Constitution. He claims he knows the Constitution. He's a barrister himself. What do you think would have been behind this?
See, he is showing his solidarity towards a foreign state. It is very, very clear. The cat is out of the bag. See, whatever is his policy towards a particular segment of the society, that is his individual view. If he feels that in OBC reservation, there should be 27% reservation given to members of Muslim community, there is nothing unconstitutional, because he has a right to ask for reservation for a particular community. Whether that demand is unconstitutional or not, that's a separate issue. But so far as the scope of Article 102 is concerned, he also knows law, he's a barrister, and I also know little bit of law. So therefore, I believe that both of us know little bit of law, and we will be obviously before the Election Commission of India and the President of India, we will definitely raise our submissions before the two supreme authorities. And I think what I'm saying is absolutely correct. And what he is going through, what mindset he is having, that I cannot comment upon, because that is his individual view. But so far as the provisions of the Constitution are concerned, so far as the provision of Article 102 is concerned, it is very, very strict. And if such a submission is accepted by Mr. Owaisi, that what I have raised this Jai Philistine because Mahatma Gandhi was also supporting supporting Philistine. I heard their spokesperson saying that Mr. Jai Shankar Prasad had a foreign policy supporting supporting Philistine. So those are all matters which are not covered by Article 102. Article 102, the word which is used is showing you are under acknowledgement of allegiance or adherence to a foreign state. The moment you say Jai Philistine, you are showing your inclination, your support, your solidarity towards a foreign state. And the moment you do it, you are immediately disqualified from becoming the member of parliament. This is the mandate of Article 102. We have followed the process, and let's see what happens in the future.
All right. Thank you so much, senior advocate Vishnu Shankar Jain. He was joining us on that big controversy that we are covering on This Is Exclusive. Owaisi remains defiant, viewers, but it remains to be seen what action is in fact taken against him. But right now, we're slipping into a very, very short break, but we continue with the latest news and updates coming in on the Liquorgate investigation. Remember, Arvind Kejriwal, Delhi Chief Minister, has been remanded to a 3-day CBI custody.